Good morning. This is a reflection on lesson 311 in A Course of Miracles. I judge all things as I would have them be. I judge all things as I would have them be. This guy, look at it. He's like, okay. It is now about 5 or 6 minutes in the future. And I've cleaned up the coffee from the floor, from my shoes, washed my coffee cup, made a new cup of coffee, switched over the laundry. So anyway, that's why this cat, I played into it. It was my fault, but he is pure chaos. I love him so much, but that's what everyday life is like. Every day there's something like that with that cat. Just because he's so needy, he's so angsty, he's so, I don't know, I just love him so much. So anyway, where were we? What's this lesson about? Some hair. Whatever it's about, this, I think it's about really judgment of our minds, like our minds being judged. And what I think it's really pointing to is like being Christ-like, like all these lessons. It's like, it's for God to place proper judgment in our minds. And whatever we judge, it really takes us farther from peace. Where it took me, what this lesson did for me was think, like, whenever my mind wants to make sense of something, I thought about the term confusion. Like, what is confusion? Because I thought about, well, my mind, to feel confused is, one thing this lesson said was like, when we judge, we don't see things in their totality because we're like this or that, black or white. We don't see things as a whole, as a oneness, as a union of things. We see things categorized, separated, divided, labeled, all of that. But God, whatever God is, it is cohesion, it is oneness. There is no division in the God sense, right? There is no separateness. God, whatever God is, again, that word is loaded, but whatever this source energy is, it is all encompassing. It is everywhere in everything. It is love energy. It is how the energy of things coalescing, not dividing. And so when I think about confusion, it's this feeling of my mind has no place to land firmly in a concept, in an opinion, in an idea, in an understanding, in a judgment, really, here's how I feel about something is kind of like a judgment, meaning it's a planting a flag. Yes, this is how I think about something. I have a viewpoint on it. That's all a judgment is I have a point of view that I'm identifying with that says, that feels like me. I like dropped an ounce of me in this way of seeing something. So that's mind identification, right? So what this lesson was saying to me was like, we don't see things in totality as soon as we say, aha, that's the way I see something. We're saying that's my one sliver of perspective out of the 360-degree pie of totality. I have this sliver that says, this is my viewpoint into the whole. It's my sliver. It's hard to say, like I'm feeling this feeling of it and I'm trying to put words to it. It's always a challenge. So when I thought about, well, what is confusion? it's like the mind going, I need to land somewhere in a viewpoint. I'm trying to carve out my slice of pie. I didn't go into this lesson thinking of pie or that circle of totality, but that to me feels good right now. So like my pie slice, I don't know where to carve it. I'm just confused by the whole. So I feel like I need to carve a slice and like see into the pie that way. What I love is the practice of letting the mind be confused, letting it not rest, letting it not land anywhere. It feels so weird at first to do that. Just like what happens is everything stops. You're like, oh, I really can let my mind just stop, just free fall, just float, whatever you want to say, the opposite of landing firmly in a spot, in a perspective, in an opinion, oh, yeah, that's how I feel. Yes, that feels good. Yeah. When you land, it's sort of like okay, I can rest a moment. To not let the mind land, paradoxically, you'd think, oh, well, then it's not going to get a chance to rest. The opposite actually happens. The mind gets a chance to rest in the not landing. It's just sort of like it goes still, it goes quiet. It feels like a beautiful losing, and I want to use that word because it has negative connotations. It feels like a loosening of self. Like it's possible to not identify with anything, and that feels like freedom. It feels like peace. It feels like love. So that's where this lesson took me. It was like there's the totality of understanding, which to me feels like the entry point might feel like confusion, and then to just hold on a moment, however long that takes, where your mind's like bouncing around trying to understand a totality, and it's just don't let it land. Don't let it land. As soon as it wants to land, just take back off. It reminds me of like when I was taking, did I already tell you this? When I was taking flying lessons. And I just learned that my old flying teacher passed away recently. His name's Ted. He was a lovely old man who just loved in his retirement years to rent out his airplane for teaching. And so I remember like he showed such care and love for his plane, and it looked like he took joy in having us students. I was just like, he would have one student at a time, but I assume he had many. Like, I just felt the love when he would teach me how to do the pre-flight check. Like, you go over the whole plane and check everything so you don't fall out of the sky. And you're checking fuel levels. You're getting up on a ladder and going inside the wing and like checking fuel levels. And like, it felt like love when he would watch me taking care to check it. It was like giving a child a checkup, right? Like everything's in proper working order. You're a healthy plane. It just reminds me, I never thought of that before, but to think of him is to think of his love for teaching and for cultivating the care of the plane. I don't know, his baby, the thing he loved so much, and his love of flying. And he was such a teacher by feel, maybe because of his age, his number of years doing it. But I struggled at the time. Talk about mind identification. I was like, I need rules, I need a checklist, I need this or that or this or that. But it was by repetition and feel that he taught. And for some reason, my mind at the time was like, I need a visual checklist. I need, but he was doing it to me the most effective way, but it was hard at first. But that's just like, if I were to go back and fly now, I'd probably learn it by the very logical, physical checklist kind of way. And I'd be pining for him to come back and be like, Ted, teach me by feel. I remember, so anyway, touch and go landings, I never did finish, because life. But for a period of a couple of years, man, it was so fun to just take lessons, like a lesson a week, which also doesn't help if you're only doing one a week or two a week. So I would, help with the learning by feel. So we do these touch and goes. And I think I must have told you this before because it feels like a good analogy that I would have maybe used. The idea of not landing anywhere and how at first unsettling and uncertain and like on edge that can feel. The way he taught me with touch and goes, we did so freaking many of them. So we would come in for a landing, and then I would never know if this was the particular landing where we were actually going to land and stop the lesson, like for the day, or if he was going to be like, okay, go. After my wheels are down, even it doesn't even tell me till the wheels are down, and then okay, go. And so there's this on edge feeling of like, is this a place to land? Because at first I have to survey everything and make sure, like, is it safe to land if we are landing? Is there anyone else entering the runway in case we didn't get the message? Like, you're still like on alert all the time, surveying your landscape. Is it okay to like land? Would it feel right to have an opinion here? Does it feel like I'm aligned? Whatever that is in the moment. But in flying, it was like a sense of like, I need to be ready to land and I need to be ready to take off again if this landing doesn't stick, or if it doesn't feel right, or if Ted says, okay, go. And it just feels like the feeling of that is like an at the ready. There's a readiness and an uncertainty and a nervousness a little bit, like looking at him like out of the side of my eye, like we would do so freaking many, I swear, like a countless number. So by the time like you're just ready to keep going, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, done. And I'm like, put on the brakes. And so this idea of landing feels like putting on the brakes. And that feels like when the feeling of a plane landing where you're like bracing against the momentum. And it feels like, doesn't that feel like to have an opinion in something feels like I'm digging in and bracing against what's going to come at me by having this opinion? And that's what I mean by freedom, by the ability to just have a touch and go in life. Like, I'm going to touch into this feeling and play with the idea and contemplate it, and then not land, and then let go and rise again. Off to the next thing to play with, if your mind needs stuff to play with, or just your heart needs stuff to like feel into. It's such a beautiful way, I'm loving it anyway, to go through life where the mind just wants to dig in and brace, and it hardens the body, doesn't it? I feel that in my clients anyway, and myself, like, oh, like the body holding on tightly. So there are a lot of different analogies in this one, but the whole totality of everything feels overwhelming and scary at first. Like, how do I even carve out a chunk of this that feels manageable for me? But you don't have to. The letting go, the not landing, the touch and goes, always letting go, always rising again is freedom. It may not seem like that at first, but to have confusion is like the mind feeling like it has to land somewhere, but then it doesn't. If you just believe for a moment, just trust really for a moment that, wait a minute, it's okay to not land. And at first, it's like, it feels like the mind wants to come in and say, oh my God, I'm not having any thoughts. And even that's a thought. So then you can let that go too. And then it's like, I'm not a person anymore. You know, it feels like the sense of self has loosened. And it feels like, oh my God, I'm seeing everything like fresh and new. Like without words. And it's so beautiful, expansive. It feels like peace, beauty, freedom, all the things. I want to practice that some more today. It feels so good. I like to do it when I'm driving because I know that I can still like respond to my environment. So it feels safe to me, but I feel like I don't have to think about anything in words. I just see things like that's a tree, but I don't even use the word tree. It's just like, everything's new. That's why I like to do it when driving, because it's like I have more to look at and just be in awe of, because things are just changing and coming into my awareness and I'm not landing. Maybe it's easier for that reason, because it's like the landscape keeps changing. So the mind, it's easier maybe for the mind to not land. It's just like touch and go, touch into that tree-like thing and go. Oh, Ted, thanks for letting me have some memories here. I just learned of his passing, and he's a beautiful person, and wonder what happened to his plane.